Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of an honors review. If you're new to the channel, basically I'm a gearhead, I'm an engineer, I'm an outdoors enthusiast, endurance athlete, and my hobby is buying out stuff, trying it out, and try to come up with what I like the most, what I really dislike, and then make recommendations or at least give you an honest answer. Sorry about that. What I found is that oftentimes when I try to find a review, it's usually an unboxing, and that doesn't give me a lot of feedback about how the product is going to perform. So that being said, today I have a little bit of this is a not traditional honest review, because usually I use products for quite a long time before actually doing a review. This is not the case. This is my take on I'm going to talk about the IO sneakers by GORUCK. I'm gonna do a little quick rundown of this. Again, the reason why I'm not gonna be able to do like a full review right now is because I have not used them a lot, and I'm not really sure if I'm gonna keep these, and I'm gonna get into it in a second. And I also want to give you guys a little bit of an update on the GORUCK Mac V1s. The Mac V1 was GORUCK's boot. I just got a pair of the newer version. It's the Origins version. It's a higher cuff. The original one was just at 5 inches. And in the comments to this video, you can see my first review when I first got the Mac V1s, when they were just fresh out of the production. And I want to give you a little bit of update on that. And as a teaser, I'll be trying out these guys, right? These are the ballistic trainers. So there's a lot of information there in the first couple of minutes. So if you're here for just the IOs, let's get right to it. So these are the IOs by GORUCK, indoor outdoor. A little bit of background if you're not familiar with GORUCK, of the brand itself as where they are and what is the footwear approach they have. So Special Forces founded company. They for many years were USA made rucksacks, quality rucksacks. And recently they have grown a lot, so some of the production is now in Vietnam. All their products have a lifetime warranty. And one of the big players in the footwear industry, Paul Litchfield, who is also an awesome dude, recently joined the team as head of footwear. And the first product was boots, because of course, like I said, Special Forces, military, that was their first approach. But now they're diversifying a little bit more. So the second product that we have from the footwear department at GORUCK is the IO shoes. So, number of things. They are not the lightest shoe in the world, but they're not also too heavy. I think they're in a very good weight. What is the goal with the shoe, right? The idea is to make sure that you have a shoe that is tough enough to endure most of the workouts you're going to have, whether it's inside or outside, but that can also withstand what is called the GORUCK Challenge, which are endurance events that range anywhere between 6 hours to more than 1 day, right? And this is the IO. So breaking it down, a number of things that I really, really like. Since this is designed to also be your outdoor working out shoe, or also if you want to do rucking, which is basically walking with weight on your pack, in any type of conditions, then that is the main goal. So I like that you can definitely feel that it's built for that. For a number of reasons. One, the material. The material is very, very tough, Cordura, right? You can see how it really doesn't flex a lot. It's stiff right now, but of course it's because this is a new shoe. Like I said, I'm sorry, this traditionally I would have used this a lot longer before shooting the video. But this type of material is going to give in, right? It's going to give in and it's going to become a little bit more manageable. But this is very tough material. This is going to last forever. Another thing that I really like about how these are thought to be a very tough shoe is that they also have this extra nylon band right here in the middle of the arch. Can add a little bit of more support. It also is a little bit it's just conveniently placed in one of the spots that you're gonna have more abrasion when you're crawling, going to ropes, etc., etc. And it also is a great connection to the combat boot, right? Because combat boots have that type of extra nylon layer there that it's more to go across your ankle and provide that extra stability once you lace them up. So I think it's a nice way how they connect both models to. You also notice it also has a high, very nice drainage, right? One of the things that it's that if you watch some of my videos or you are an endurance athlete, more important that if something is waterproof is how easily can it drain water, right? That's huge. So having one of these is great. Again, I also like how companies keep a little bit of coherence between the products. So combat boots to drain here, right? And of course, this combat boot design is also well, the Mac V1 boots, which are not necessarily combat boots, comes a big influence from the jungle combat boots from Vietnam, right? So really, really cool. In terms of how much give they have, they're somewhat stiff, but that is really cool too, because when you are rocking, you definitely want that energy return, right? You don't want something that is too malleable, because then you're gonna feel your feet are gonna get sore really, really quick. From the first iteration of the sole that I have for the Mac Vs, they already have a huge improvement in this. This is a lot grippier. It has a better design. The original sole is more like the ballistic trainers now. This was the pattern, a very similar pattern to the original sole that they had. And you can see the big change now, right? So this already feel a lot grippier than that first version of the Mac V1s that I have. If you want to know more about that sole, please again go in the link. So I really like this sole. I love the contrast also. You can also find them in all black, but I particularly like this contrast. Very well constructed also here in the toe. So you have a little bit of protection here. You also have a little bit of grip when you're going to be crawling or pushing out, but you also have protection for your toes, which is great. You want that for a shoe that is meant for you to be crawling or doing very intense workouts, right? And on the inside of the shoe, I really like, I'm going to put it here in the light, the lining that they have. It's very smooth, very comfortable. I wore this around the house without any socks, and they are comfortable without any socks. Very good friends of mine in Florida, the GIF team, I've seen them wear this without socks, and at first I thought, well, that's a little bit uncomfortable, but we also know, or I learned recently, that it's a Florida thing to not wear socks, I guess. But like I did myself, and they're super comfortable. I have no problems whatsoever. Like I said, the top material is going to give in, just like when you buy a new rucksack, they give in. Same situation, it's definitely going to give in, and they're very roomy, which was my third point. Very, very roomy, which is great. I'm a big fan of roomy shoes. In fact, there's a roomy I had to size down. I'm usually 9.5. These one are size 9, and they fit great with also a very good space for my feet, right? And the last thing that I want to talk about is their work shoe. Well, they called Workhorse. That's the term that they've used to talk about their sole into the insole as well. The insoles from the GORUCK shoes are probably my favorite thing. They're very supportive. They're very cushiony, very, very, very cushiony. And I've noticed that I'm gonna give it to them. They're really improving over time. So I have here the ones that come from the Mac V1s, and these are the ones that go into the IOs. They are very similar. There's a feel a little bit more support in this one, more cushiony, but again, these are boots. They're meant for high miles. But I really, really like the amount of support that the insoles give. I think that, I don't know in your case, but in my case, I think that's often the weak spot of footwear. I have to change the insoles. So what is the thing that you want this shoe for? Well, it's pretty much your shoe, your all-around shoe, right? It's going to be very comfortable. It's going to be very, very good. But again, it's designed on rocking. It's designed on tough things, right? Heel lock, fantastic. Very durable. As you see, very hard to bend. I really, really like that, because I feel that if a shoe doesn't lock my heel in, I'm going to have instability issues. So even though it doesn't necessarily have any type of material that really ties into locking the foot, like we've seen in other footwear. Like, for example, Salomon is the one that I particularly like the most in terms of how the chassis goes into the webbing, so that when you tie them up, it really hugs everything. Even though we don't see that in this shoe, they're still very, very stable. They're very, very stable. Again, we have these side straps that, of course, once you tighten, it's gonna really locked in, because this is gonna be a little bit more rigid than the rest of the shoe, of course. But also the heel, it's great. I mean, it's soft here in the top where it matters, because you're gonna be walking, so you want to have some give. But the heel doesn't really give in, which is great. So as you can see, if there's torsion, it happens where it has to happen, right? It doesn't fall apart, which I think is huge. So very, very, very good shoes. I really like them. I think it's a good, you know, if you want to get into GORUCK footwear, it's a good starting point. If you're not really sure about boots, it's a good starting point. If you want something tough that withstand the elements and so forth, also a very good option. And they're gonna clean really well. It's gonna be very easy to clean. Just hose down, some dish soap, and they're gonna be very easy to clean. So after you're done with a workout, as a travel shoe, you go into the shower, scrub, you're ready for beers, right? Cool. So this is the IO. Why I'm not really sure if I'm gonna keep them or not, and this is a personal preference, or the reason why I have not tried them as extensively as I should have, is because I already have a bunch of boots that and footwear that does exactly what the IOs already do. You have to remember that I don't get paid. I'm just a guy buying gear, right? So sometimes that's a decision to make. I believe that at the price point that these come, they're a very good shoe. They're a very good shoe at the price. And I think that this is something very, very, very smart that GORUCK is doing, right? Because when you're doing endurance and when you're doing rocking, there's two things that are going to make you and break you. Or make you or break you. The bag and the shoes. They got both covered now. Lastly, just because I forgot about it until right now, this is lined, the tongue is lined, so comfortable. Like I said, could definitely wear them without socks. Definitely would. Awesome. So that's my rundown. Again, not a traditional honest review if you've seen my channel before, because I'm not really using them. But I felt like I could shoot a video because I'm familiar enough with GORUCK products, with their boots, to give you guys a little bit of what can you expect from the shoe, and maybe it helps you to make the decision. Great thing too is that GORUCK has excellent customer service, so I'm sure that if you have any problems with it, you can just, you know, go back to them and they'll do right by you. This is the end of the IO, and a quick little update on the Mac V1s. So if you're done, if you just came for the AO, fine, go have a cup of coffee. If you want a little bit more information, because maybe you clicked on the Mac V1's review and you're still hesitant about buying them or anything like that, well, I have great news. I have three main things with the boot itself. One, that I felt that the cuff was a little bit not too long, too tall, and I definitely felt that maybe that was not I like taller boots for stability purposes. So now they already have the tall cuff version, right? Which I believe it's 8 inches. That's the measurement. So great, that is solved. I really like a taller boot versus a smaller boot, and I think because of the materials, you're gonna add a lot of weight. So I would go with this one. Also keep debris outside, blah blah blah. It depends on what you're looking for, but I really like that. 2, colors. Like this color is really, really cool, right? Call it the Origins, which of course you have the olive green with black leather. Reminds us very much of the Vietnam era boots. So I really like the colors. They now also come in, they briefly made it in desert tan. There's some of them out there still. They also come in brown. So now they have a little bit more variety, which is kind of cool. So proof of concept worked. Now let's expand, right? So the other thing that I discussed in my first review was that the insole, I felt that it took too much water, and that it was, you know, it takes forever, right, to squish it out every time you take a step. I feel this material is very squishy still, but I do feel that this is probably going to take a little bit less water. I don't know if they changed the insole or that is my perception. So to be honest, I think that that's something that, you know, it's a bit of you have to try it out, I guess. But I mean, the insole definitely looks like it's going to take a little bit less water. If it takes the same amount of water, then you already have it in the review. But the last two things that were very important to me was the leather. Something that I commented on the first one is how the leather got scraped really easily. I actually reached out to GORUCK on that, and they were kind enough to send me a new pair, and the same thing happened. So I was like, okay, whatever, that's just the leather, and I just stopped there. But this leather already, it's different, right? After I had that problem from the second time, they said if you wait, we're going to release a second version with a different leather. I feel the difference in the leather. This is definitely tougher leather. It's definitely leather that it won't get scraped. Like the other ones would get scraped with just my nail. Look at this, right? So the leather is already a lot better. So awesome. I really like companies that do that. And the last thing was the sole. For something that is jungle inspired and is meant to be outside and so forth, I didn't like the sole. The sole, I thought it was like, I said, this was the pattern of the first sole. Very similar. Not this specifically, but it was more similar to this than what it is right now. I wish I had my boots still. I don't have them anymore. These are already a lot better. I think that these are going to perform better in terms of traction, and also in terms of, you know, getting rid of the mud and stuff as you walk. The pattern is also going to have an influence whether how much mud you're carrying around, and also that's going to have an influence if you sleep or not, right? Especially talk about winter muddy, spring muddy trails right after, you know, everything starts to de-ice, or if you live in a tropical place, or you know, even in winter with the snow, you start to accumulate some mud after you step on things. So way better. And of course, great energy return, because these are made for rucking, right? So if you're going to be more of a hardcore user and you're going to do all these GORUCK events and you know, maybe go for 12 hours, 24 hours, or you just ruck every single day, you're probably better off with the boots, right? I would definitely just get the boots. So little brief 5-minute update on the Mac V1s. Definitely, I like they're keeping track of their quality, and they're keeping track of the best way to improve. So that's all I had to say about the Mac V1s update. I hope that was helpful to you. So update on the Mac Vs. Little overview of the IOs. Thank you. Please comment, share any questions you may have. If you think that, oh my God, it sucked that you didn't try them really for these ones, that's fair. Let me know, and I will never make a video without trying things again. And I'm gonna try these guys, the ballistic trainers, which is the newer shoe, and I'll get a video on that soon. Thank you guys. See you next one.